Hey everyone, you're watching KTAL News Now. I'm your host Anthony Mocklin, and today is Monday. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. But today, here on KTAL News Now, we will be recapping that weekend and anything you might have missed. If you had a bunch of busy plans, you didn't really get to check the news, I got you, don't worry. Our first topic of the day involves the Texarkana Independent School District, as they recently received a D rating from the Department of Education for last school year. But the district says that this grade does not define them, and they are expecting to improve that this year. KTAL's Dan Jovic has more.
Some shortcomings have already been addressed thanks to completed bond projects. Some of the lowest graded schools are in new campuses this year, including the Dunbar Early Education Center and Parks Elementary. There are also policies being implemented to make sure some of the other struggling schools are brought up to standard.
The other thing that we're working toward right now is more strategic staffing, and we are actually implementing stipends and other funding incentives to encourage stronger teachers into our harder to staff campuses, and with some of our struggling campuses, we really need strong teachers there.
Across the district, they're also implementing lessons plans from the state.
And one of the biggest events that happened this weekend was the 10th year of Geek'd, and that took place in Shreveport from Friday to Sunday. And like I said, they were celebrating their 10th year of celebrating nerds and geeks from around the area, with a bunch of different celebrities, voice actors that were there to sign autographs, take photos with fans, and they had cosplay contests. So it was really awesome if you are a nerd and just love anything about your fandom. If you're super passionate and diehard about it, this was definitely the event for you. They'll likely be back next year for an 11th year, but KTAL's Melody Newsom has the recap of their 10th celebration.
We've been waiting like a month for this already.
Geek'd makes its way to Shreveport for its annual convention. It's in its 10th year. Attendees say this is a place where geeks can go to be authentically themselves.
The interaction with the people here has been really nice. No one's been mean. Everyone's been welcoming, and it's nice. It feels like you're able to be yourself here.
Geek'd benefits guests and businesses too.
This is like one of the biggest events of the year. I know that happens in the state, and I think it just draws a lot of people. You know, they get a lot of great guests, and so it's for people to just be themselves and maybe do some shopping, meet some celebrities, and have something big to look forward to.
Organizers say the convention has steadily grown, and when folks are allowed to have a good time with no worries, people will always come back.
So far, I'm enjoying myself. The things that I've seen, the cosplays and stuff like that, all have been awesome. It's been a really fun time so far. 100% I would come back.
The convention runs until Sunday the 24th. Melody Newsom, NBC6 News.
Now, I unfortunately did not get to make it, but some of our digital team members here at KTAL did, and they said it was a blast. They had so much great art and celebrities galore that you could just interact with and speak to, and I'll definitely be trying to make it next year. I love conventions like this. In previous shows, I talked about Fan Expo down in New Orleans in their convention center, and how that I've been there before, and that was a crazy, really awesome, exciting experience. So I'm definitely looking forward to next year's Geek'd. But one other place in Shreveport that was also celebrating an anniversary is the Strand Theater here in Shreveport. It's their iconic theater in the heart of downtown, and if you haven't been there, it is absolutely gorgeous. The entire interior, the way everything's set up, it feels like something straight out of a movie, which they also have screenings for. They had this the Twin premiere with their red carpet at the Strand Theater that I got to attend, and it was such an exciting, unforgettable experience. They also have a bunch of different entertainers that come, like stand-up comedians that do their acts there, as well as graduation ceremonies and white coat ceremonies for the med school up here. That's where my fiance's white coat ceremony was at LSU's med school, and it's always a really awesome experience to go there and just be enamored by the theater and everything inside of it. So KTAL's Dan Jovic has more on what the Strand is doing in celebration of 100 years.
They worked alongside ArtSpace to show an exhibit of the theater's history through the last century. From old newspapers and chairs to brand new art inspired by the Strand, the exhibit shows the rich history of the theater. The 2,500-seat Opera House was built for around $750,000. That equates to a little over $14 million today. The director of the Strand talked about its future.
Trying to keep her up to date where the patrons are comfortable and, you know, still want to come see live entertainment. If you can dream it, we can put it on the stage, and we do. So we have a little something for anybody's tastes.
And they will be hosting a Centennial Gala on September 20th. Tickets are $100 per person. You can head over to their website for more information.
And I know it's still August and Mardi Gras is not even in people's minds at the moment, but the Krewe of Gemini here in Shreveport was in the studio a few days ago, and they are the oldest crew, Mardi Gras crew in North Louisiana. They are celebrating their 37th year, and they just had a record-setting coronation at Sam's Town Casino downtown, where they unveiled their royal court for this upcoming Mardi Gras season. And this year's theme is dubbed as the greatest show. And KTAL's Mata Drain had them in studio to talk more about what they're doing and their upcoming events.
We are just the most regular people you'd ever want to see. It's not a brain trust. We have people of all ages. We have people certainly older than me in their 80s that have been there for years. We have brand new members in their 20s. We're a full spectrum of age, and while I'm a physician, all kinds of walks of life.
Yes, and you mentioned that you were the oldest crew in the North Louisiana area, right?
Gemini has been organized for 37 years. We are not the largest crew. Centaur has dibs on that, but we are the oldest crew.
Okay.
The oldest crew here. We'd love for people to come and see what we call our den, where we have costumes and floats, and just walk in and you'd be amazed at the years worth of collections of costumes that we have there.
Yeah. And our den and / museum is a great event center.
Yeah.
So you're surrounded by all of this history.
Yes.
It's a great place.
I've had the chance to visit your den and I've absolutely loved it. It's beautiful. I love seeing all the different colors and costumes. Love it. Now, I know you guys are preparing for your season, but you've already done a bit already in the community. Let's talk about some of the things that you've been able to do.
We just completed our Fill the Bus campaign, which was something that we did. We had all of our crew members brought in school supplies for Caddo and Bossier Parish.
Yeah.
And it was a huge success.
Okay, I absolutely love the fact that you guys are showing that you're in the community and out there putting in the work, because it's not just about the parades and having fun. We love that, but also talk about what it's like being a member and of course some of the duties that you have to do.
So being a member is whatever you want it to be. You can be as active in the crew as you want to be. You can be as inactive, just come to the big things like the ball and the parade, or you can network, use it as a networking agent for you personally. So it truly is whatever you want it to be.
All right, so talk to us, but quickly before we leave, how can we be on the lookout for your next event and what is coming up next?
For us, our next thing is going to be Fall Flambeau, and the painters will come in and paint all of our floats and bring in the new props and get us ready to go.
Yes, getting ready for parade season.
Right.
We spend a lot of time going to other crews' coronations as well, though. Part of our duties is what we call royalty, is to try to make as many coronations as we can. I have a desk calendar that's full of everyone's dates. When there are conflicting dates, we divide our groups up so we can be represented at both of them. We want to support all the other crews as well. I mean, it's not just all about Gemini. We want to go to the other crews, go to their coronations, go to their balls. We go to their parades.
And switching over to sports, particularly football, as football officially kicked off this weekend with college football and some high school. But the Manny football team in particular is one you want to keep an eye on. They did go 0-10 last season, something that they're trying to leave behind them. they're trying to get that respect back from people in the rankings and just change the perspective that people had of them last year. And our sports director, Chris Burns, has more about how they are exactly doing that.
If you think you're going to get 0-10 Manning, if you're going to get that effort again, like you're going to be mistaken. This is a dangerous football team.
First-year head coach Tyler Hassel didn't mince words about what he expects from his team, and that confidence is infiltrating the locker room.
We're trying to do a complete turnaround from what we had last year, and they're really starting to buy in, and it's all starting to click together, which is really special.
We're ready. We got a chip on our shoulder, and we're treating everything like it's a Super Bowl, whether it's the scrimmage, the jamboree, or week 1, all the way through week 10. And we'll see where we fall when the playoff times get here.
But how does one man begin such a big turnaround? Hassel says going to new places is the best thing a coach can do. Now that he's done that, and he's returning home, the familiar place gives him a leg up on the other first-year head coaches.
Seeing a program, where they're clawing and scratching, trying to get back to a positive record. I mean, those are the learning curves that prepared me for this moment. Even though I am a first-year head coach, I feel like I'm months ahead of where a person going into a foreign place would be at.
Since getting here in January, the new play caller preaches chemistry between not only the players, but the coaching staff as well.
That chemistry factor is huge, so it's coming along great. Everything's right where we need to be at right now.
Smash Mouth may be a rock band, but it's also the type of football these all-stars play. How easy it is to forget just how good this team was just a few seasons ago.
The biggest thing we're preaching is go out and get your respect. We lost a lot of it going to 0-10 season from being one of the top teams in the state, so we're trying to go back and just get what we lost.
I mean, it's rock bottom right now. I mean, you compare this, but everything we want right now, we're not chasing a record. We're not just chasing one win. We're chasing respect right now. People forget that, a couple years ago, these guys walking the Superdome floor. Respect is number one. So we're trending in the right direction.
Enough said. Reporting in Manny, I'm Chris Burns.
And that mentality is already being reflected before they even play a game this season. Last year in the Louisiana State rankings, they were 274th. But this year, like I said, before even snapping the football, they are already ranked 111th in the preseason, just to show you how much of a difference the offseason can make and how they are coming different this year. Trying to leave that behind them and just focus on the future. But in the college football world, Week 0 kicked off with Hawaii versus Stanford. They ended up kicking a game-winning field goal to beat Stanford for the first time in program history. They were previously 0-4 against Stanford in their rivalry, and it was a pretty whirlwind of a game, at least offensively, because Hawaii had all the momentum going into halftime, where they scored right before the half with just over 40 seconds left to go up 14-13, and this was helped in part by Stanford's kind of shooting themselves in the foot because they had three 15-yard penalties that all resulted in first downs for Hawaii, and that led to them having a 75-yard touchdown drive. Some of those penalties included an excessive celebration penalty where Hawaii tried this reverse and then pitch it back to the quarterback, and then Stanford ended up sacking them for a loss of 20 yards, a huge loss. But then the defender got up and just was celebrating way too much, and the ref wasn't having it. So he ended up throwing the flag on the excessive celebration, which of course resulted in a Hawaii first down. And they were, as a result of the loss with the 15 yards, they were pretty much right where they started anyway. But still, an automatic first down, especially in the last 2 minutes of a half. You cannot have that. And especially if, like I said, they were winning 13-6 or 13-7 at that point, and then they give up that penalty, and then another one, and then another one, and then it just leads to a touchdown to where Hawaii takes the lead at the half, and then just carries that momentum and rides it all the way down. In the fourth quarter, Hawaii was at their own 28, and they got the ball back with 1:33 left. And quarterback Micah Alejado led a field goal drive where he went 5 of 7 passing for 51 yards. And then kicker Kansei Matsuzawa hit the game-winning field goal from 38 yards out as time expired to beat Stanford, like I said, for the first time in program history. So shout out to Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors. They got it done. But one of the biggest talked about games that day was Farmageddon, which involved number 22 Iowa State and number 17 Kansas State. And that game was actually played in Dublin, Ireland, which was really awesome. There was, I don't know if you saw on social media, but there were a bunch of pubs and bars in Ireland that had the team's flags outside just hanging out. But they got the Iowa State flag right, but then they had the literal state flag of Kansas up instead of Kansas State University. So that was really, really funny. They probably looked up Kansas State flag and just picked like the first one they saw, which I thought was really, really funny and entertaining. But this rivalry has been very, very long-standing. These two teams have played each other every single year dating back to 1917. It is the longest uninterrupted rivalry in college football, but unfortunately that will be coming to an end in about 3 years. They'll play in 26 and 27, but in 28 that rivalry will be taking a hiatus due to scheduling changes in the Big 12 Conference, which is very unfortunate. I mean, like I said, these teams have been playing each other every year for over 100 years now, and that really sucks to see as all these conferences keep aligning, and eventually we're going to get this giant super conference where, conferences don't even mean anything anymore. But, that's just one of the problems with college football right now, in my opinion, that I have a grievance with. But the conditions of the field, they were playing in this open-air Stocker Stadium, and it was very, very wet and rainy to where the teams combined for 4 lost fumbles in the first half, so the ball was pretty slippery. And at one point in the game, they kept having to repaint the sidelines and the hash marks and the yard lines, because at one point it was barely visible. You couldn't even see the yard of where they were at anymore. So they had to pretty much keep upkeeping that and maintaining that. But other than that, it was a very entertaining game, at least in the second half, because like I said, in the first half there were a lot of mishaps. It was kind of low scoring, but things turned up, especially in the fourth quarter, where Iowa State was winning. They were winning 24-21, and then they found themselves in a 4th and 3 situation at the Kansas State 16-yard line with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. So they still had that 2-minute warning to worry about where it would be a stoppage, but Kansas State was all out of timeouts. That's when they decided to go for it on 4th down and just try to end the game instead of kicking for a field goal, going up 6, and then you risk losing on a touchdown and extra point, because like I said, there were still 2 minutes left, and that's a lot of time, and especially in college football, even if they didn't have all their timeouts. But Iowa State's quarterback Rocco Becht dropped back to pass, and he found running back Carson Hansen for a 15-yard completion, and he was downed at the 1-yard line. It was originally ruled a touchdown because he reached out at the end, but right before the ball crossed the plane, they ruled that his forearm/elbow was down, I'm telling you, an inch away from the goal line. So they ended up being down at the 1, and instead of just running it in, or Kansas State letting them score to try to get the ball back, they decided to just kneel it out because, like I said, Kansas State was out of timeouts, and then because of the fact that he was ruled short, the clock continued to run because he was downed in bounds. So they ran it down to the 2-minute warning, and then they just went into victory formation, kneeled it 3 times, and then that was it. So great win by Iowa State. They have now won 5 of their last 6 meetings against Kansas State, and each of those teams were the last 2 winners or previous champions of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And if you follow college football at all, even if you're not even if you don't, the Pop-Tarts Bowl was a very viral matchup last year and just the last few years because of their mascots, because you have these people that dress up in these Pop-Tart costumes and they just like start dancing and just like they go all out in terms of like the celebration and marketing for it. It's definitely my favorite bowl because of that. I mean, we have like it feels like 200 different bowls every year now, but that one is always one that I'll watch simply because of the marketing and like the antics that happen during the game, because you have these these people in Pop-Tart costumes that are just on the sidelines and cheering. So they were two of the flavored mascots were in attendance for this game, and that was really cool to see that call back, because like I said, these two teams, Iowa State and Kansas State, they are each of the past two champions of the famous Pop-Tarts Bowl. But one thing that made headlines after the game was Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson. His father and brother got into a brawl in the streets after the game. They ended up issuing a joint apology, but that was pretty crazy to see like that happen after the game. I mean, I understand that they lost. I don't know. We really don't know what escalated the conflict to that, but you know, it was. I'm glad that both of them are okay. Like I said, they issued a joint statement and apology saying, you know, that's not what we intend to bring. We didn't mean to distract anything from happening because, you know, Kansas State just coming off a loss. They need to put that game behind them and any outside noise behind them and look ahead because, like I said, they were ranked number 17 in the top 25. They're still a very good team. This game definitely proved that both of these teams belong in the top 25. I'm very excited to see how the Cyclones build off of this momentum after the win. But we have plenty of college football in store. We have Baylor versus Auburn this Friday night, and then we have a ton of different top 25 matchups this Saturday, including LSU versus Clemson, which that's probably going to be the biggest game on LSU's schedule, at least for the foreseeable future, because LSU is ranked 9th, and Clemson, I believe, is ranked 4th. So that's a top 10 matchup. That's going to be must-see TV. Absolutely need to be glued to a screen for that if you love sports, especially college football. Like I said, there's plenty of other games on the slate that are very good, but this one is the one to watch, especially if you live in Louisiana, if you're an LSU fan, if you're a fan of the SEC, which it just means more. It really does. Because I'm really hoping LSU wins. I think they can, just because Clemson, you know, they were talking all season, all off season, saying, "Oh, we're going to be the first team to go 16-0 in this new format and stuff." So I really want to just, you know, give them some medicine when it comes to that and just shut them up essentially. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be watching that. Can't wait for that game. But that's all I got today in today's weekend recap. Be sure to check us out again tomorrow on Tech Tuesday, where we'll be covering the latest and greatest technology news regarding, you know, everyday tech or just really big, expensive stuff. So if you're really into tech and specs and everything, you won't want to miss that. And that'll be on KTAL News Now, which streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. You can find all of our older episodes of KTAL News Now on our YouTube page at KTAL News. But like I said, we stream every day, Monday through Friday, on KTALnews.com. I'm your host, Anthony Mocklin. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for joining us.